kunja bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava kunja bihari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janardan. Yasodanandana Braja Janardan. Yamunatira vanchari. Yamunatira vanchari. Jaya Radha Madhava kunja bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Braja Janardan. Yasodanandana Braja Janardan. Yasodanandana Braja Janardan. Yamunatira vanchari. Yamunatira vanchari. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopinata Radha Gopinata Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Shri Radhe. Jaya Kṛṣṇa Balaram Kṛṣṇa Balaram Kṛṣṇa Balaram Jaya Kṛṣṇa Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmati Gopal Krishna Goswami Prabhupada Sasavitam Yapakasha Vitirja Charam Givasagari Padma. Is it working? It's not working, right? It's not working. Jai. Let me see if we can get something. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Just a second. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalang Shri Gurung Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaniswari Visabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivāsadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Continue reading from the Bhagavad-gītā as it is. Chapter 7, Knowledge of the Absolute. Text number 7. Mattaḥ para-taram na anyat kiñcit asti dhanañ-jaya mayi sarvam idaṁ protaṁ sūtre maṇi-gaṇā iva mattaḥ para-taram nānyat kiñcid asti dhanañ-jaya mayi sarvam idaṁ protaṁ sūtre maṇi-gaṇā iva mattaḥ para-taram nānyat kiñcid asti dhanañ-jaya mayi sarvam idaṁ protaṁ sūtre maṇi-gaṇā iva. Somebody else? Mattaḥ para-taram nānyat kiñcid asti dhanañ-jaya mayi sarvam idaṁ protaṁ iva. Mataji's. Word for word meaning. Mattaḥ, beyond me. Para-taram, superior. Na, not. Anyat kiñcit, anything else. Asti, there is. Dhanam-jaya, O conqueror of wealth. Mayi, in me. Sarvam, all that be. Idaṁ, which we see. Protaṁ is strong. Sūtre, on a thread. Maṇi-gaṇā, pearls. Iva, like. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. Everybody please repeat. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. Purport. There is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad-gītā is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa. And this is confirmed in every step. In this verse, In particular, it is stressed that the absolute truth is a person. That the personality of Godhead is the supreme absolute truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma-saṁhitā, para-taram Krishna sac-cid-ānanda-vigrahaḥ. That is, the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead, is Lord Kṛṣṇa, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of all pleasure. Govinda, and the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the absolute truth is the supreme person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalist, however, argues on the strength of the Vedic version given in the Śvetāśvatara Upaniṣad, chapter 3, text 10, Tatoyat uttara-taraṁ tad arupam anamayam ya etad vidhur amritaste babanti atetare dukkam evapiyanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam. But this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates a transcendental form of eternity, bliss and knowledge as described in the Brahma-saṁhitā quoted above. Other verses in the Śvetāśvatara Upaniṣad, Canto 3, or Chapter 3, text 8 and 9, substantiate this as follows. Vedahang itang purusang mahantang aditya varna tamasa parashtat tam eva viditvati mityungeti nanyapanta vidyati yanaya yasmat parang naparang asti kiñcid yasmang naniyo no jayo asti kiñcid vriksha iva shabdo dibetis tati ekas tinidang purnang purusena sarvam. I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendental sky. And as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses, one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. Hare Krishna. Thus end Bhaktivedanta Purport, Chapter 7, Text 7 of the Bhagavad-gītā, as it is knowledge of the Absolute. So, from the previous verse, we've heard that Lord Kṛṣṇa is stating himself to be the origin, to be the cause, and also the destroyer of this material world. Of course, the spiritual world, there is no beginning There is no end, only the now. There is no past and there is no future, only the present. Only the material world, there are these three phases of time: past, present, and future. And therefore, there is a beginning, or there is a creation, and also there is a dissolution, or everything will be destroyed after some time, because everything must pass in the material world. But it is also considered as eternal. There is just phases of this different beginning, middle, and end. And ultimately, again, it's like a recycling. Recycling. And here in this verse, Lord Kṛṣṇa is telling Arjuna that he is the maintainer. It says here, everything rests upon me. That means he maintains. In everything that is happening in the material world, creation is there. Who is the creator? Lord Brahma. Who is the destroyer? Maheswar, Lord Shiva. And who is the maintainer? Lord Vishnu. It is easy to maintain, or rather it's easy to create. It is easy also to destroy. It's like in India, you know, when they build some kind of, for example, a road. They will create, yes, but it's difficult to maintain. And after some time, they'll break again, and then they'll create again, and then they're making and breaking. That's what they say, right? But the maintenance is more difficult. And that is the function of Lord Vishnu, who is not in the category of Jiva Tattva. He is in the Vishnu Tattva. So when we say there is an energy, that means also that there is the energetic, the source of the energy, both the material and spiritual worlds. And as Prabhupada says here, especially when we say that there is the notion that the Supreme Absolute Truth is both personal and impersonal. Impersonal, for those especially followers of Mayavad philosophy, saying that, oh, there is the source, which is ignorance. And actually, he doesn't have any feature. He does not have legs. He doesn't have hands. He doesn't have body. He doesn't have head and everything. And that is true. He doesn't have these different features materially. But spiritually, he has features which is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. So as far as the Bhagavad-gītā is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Śrī Kṛṣṇa. That's why it says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme Absolute Truth is having these three aspects: Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti sabjate. Vadanti tat tattva vidas tattvam. The Supreme Absolute Truth comprises this Brahman, or the effulgence, the light coming from the spiritual form or body of the Supreme Lord, the Paramatma, which is the localized aspect of the Supreme Lord, present in everywhere, every nook and corner of the material creation. And then there is the Bhagavan feature, the personal form of the Supreme Lord. Now, the Vaisnavas, they have concluded and they have realized that the Supreme Lord is a person, supreme person, not just an ordinary person like us. He is a supreme. That means no one is greater or equal to him. Asamordva. That's another meaning of Krishna having no equal to, or no one is greater than him, asamordva. And he cannot be understood by the materialist. Only devotees of the Supreme Lord can understand him. It's like the Bhagavad-gītā cannot be understood by non-devotees. Only devotees of the Supreme Lord can understand. They can read, they can theoretically understand, but realizing is another thing. Realizing Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the Supreme Absolute Truth. That's why he says Krishna is God, because he is the creator of everyone, of everything. Janmadi asayataha. He is the knower of everything. He is omnipresent. He is present everywhere, and he knows every nook and corner of both the material and spiritual worlds. It's like the architect. The architect, he knows what the materials are, comprises the building. How many sand, how many nails, how many cement. But they're engineers. Engineers, they're the one who will build the construction, the building. So Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, is the architect. And Lord Brahma is the engineer, the second creator. And somehow, as Prabhupada says, because Krishna doesn't have any source. He is the source of everything. If Krishna has a source, then he is not God. Even though in Leela, for the pastime's sake, Krishna took birth 5,000 years ago to fulfill the desires of his devotees so that he'll be able to interact with them and fulfill their desires. So, Śrī Kṛṣṇa is confirmed here in every step that he is God. He is the Supreme Lord. And later on, the next few verses, we will see how by understanding the Supreme Lord in these different features that even says here, I am the light of the sun, I am the taste of the water. So Prabhupada says, it is actually easy to remember Krishna. It's not difficult to remember Krishna. That's why whenever we drink water, if we remember that I am the taste of water, that is Krishna. Or whenever we see the sun, I am the light of the sun. The light of the sun actually, and the moon, is coming from the Brahma-jyoti. The Brahma-jyoti coming from the spiritual form where Lord Kṛṣṇa resides in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual world. So it extends up to here, this light emanating from the Supreme Lord's transcendental form. The sun cannot have its own sunshine or light. It must have some source. Same with the moon. The moonlight in the full moon, it's just not coming from the moon. It's a reflection coming from Brahma-jyoti. So everything is coming from Lord Kṛṣṇa. Prabhupada says, when a devotee sees the vast ocean, he does not see the ocean. He sees Kṛṣṇa. How? He sees how Krishna's energy is so big and so vast that actually Kṛṣṇa can create this vast ocean. So it's a different thing, huh? When the materialist will see, let's say, a rose. You say, oh, very nice rose. Oh, very nice smell. That is a materialist. But a devotee, when he sees the rose, oh, how nice the Supreme Lord is to create such a flower that has a very special and fragrant smell. Immediately he connects everything to Krishna. That's why this is what you call Krishna consciousness. A pure devotee of the Lord, like Madhavendra Puri, when he sees the rain cloud, immediately it will remind him of Lord Kṛṣṇa having this dark bluish color. When the gopis see the tamal tree having this dark complexion, immediately they will think of Krishna as well. Are we like that? Maybe sometimes. Because we're told, it's like we have a tamal tree in our temple courtyard. So a devotee of the Lord, he connects immediately everything with Krishna. And this is what you call Krishna consciousness. Seeing Krishna everywhere. A materialist, he connects everything for his own enjoyment. How can I enjoy? How can I exploit? A materialist always think, how can I make money from this? He sees some kind of tree. He says, oh, how can I cut this tree, make lumber, and construct a house, and sell the house, and then get the money? But a devotee of the Lord sees this in a different way and how it can be offered for the service and pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So, the personality of Godhead is a supreme absolute truth. And this is affirmed in the Brahma-saṁhitā. Ispara Parama Krishna, sac-cid-ānanda-vigrahaḥ, anadir adir Govinda, sarva karana karanam. Isvara, not just Isvara, Param Isvara, Supreme Master. We're all, in a sense, Isvaras. It's like demigods. They're also Isvaras, a certain aspect, because they are governing the material world, our universe, but they cannot be called Param Isvara, Supreme Master. Everyone bows down unto the Supreme Lord. Ekala Isvara Krishna Ara Sarva Britaya. Krishna is the only Supreme, and everyone is his servants. No one can go higher than him, but the only thing that can go higher is the love of his devotee. By the love of his devotee, Krishna becomes subjugated. Krishna becomes seemingly subordinate. It is not that the devotee is higher, it is the love of the devotee, the affection. The love of the devotee is superior in such a way that Krishna can be sold or can be purchased. What do you mean by can be purchased? That means Krishna will do anything and everything for his devotee. Reciprocally, the devotees will do anything and everything for the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord, in return, will also do anything and everything to please his devotees. This is the mystery here. Seemingly that the Supreme Lord becomes subordinate, became less. But that is the embellishment, that is the ornament of his mercy and his love towards his devotee, that he becomes sold out towards his devotee. So, Isvara Parama Krishna sac-cid-ānanda-vigrahaḥ. His form is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. The difference between the living entities, the conditioned souls who are prone to be under the modes of material nature, is that they can easily forget, and also because they change their body. This form that we have right now is temporary. It doesn't last. Every second, actually, we are changing our body, the molecules. And every 12 years, we are completely a different person. 12, then 24, then 36, then 48, then 60, then 72. Well, if we reach that far, and then 84. We're all completely, everything changes. And that's why there is forgetfulness. But for Kṛṣṇa, there is no forgetfulness. Why? Because his body is eternal, doesn't change. Things that we've done 3 days ago, even 2 days ago, we have forgotten already. I know my mother, of course, because this is due to old age. She's 86. She will even forget what she ate a few hours ago. But she can remember long term. But we will come to that point also that, especially when you have this, what you call the Alzheimer's disease. Is it Alzheimer's? That you forget even your own family. You'll forget, oh, are you my son? Are you my daughter? You forget. That's another. This is different than amnesia. Amnesia is different. So, but Kṛṣṇa, he never changes. Eternally youthful, 16-year-old boy. And he remembers everything past, present, and he knows also the future. For us, we don't know what is the future. Hope against hope that our future will be bright and we'll go back home, back to Godhead, hopefully in this lifetime. So his form is sac-cid-ānanda, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. That is the supreme absolute truth. He is the reservoir of all pleasure. So if we're looking for happiness, which is why we are in this material world, we are looking for this happiness that will last forever and will be always increasing all the time. The only person whom we should approach is the one who is the reservoir. Reservoir means he has all of this pleasure. It's like you may have a small, let's say, golden ring. But if you want a lot of gold, you have to go to the mountain, mine, gold mine. Then you'll have so much. So similarly, for those who are seeking pleasure, which is everyone in this material world, we are all pleasure-seeking entities. Anandamaya Vyasat. We're all looking for happiness. And this happiness can only be found from the Supreme Absolute Truth, who is the reservoir of all pleasure. There is a small book written, actually it's a series of lectures by His Divine Grace, Reservoir of Pleasure. Have you read that book? At least you must have heard about that book. You've heard about that book? Reservoir of Pleasure. Govinda, the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. So, where can we find this information? We can find these informations from the Sastras and from the Sadhus. from the spiritual master. Prabhupada says, if you want to find out who is your father, you don't go out in the street and ask everyone, do you know my father? Have you seen my father? What does he look like? Who do you ask? Your mother. Your mother will say, oh yes, somehow or other he left us long time ago, but he looks like this. And then if that description fits to a person whom you'll meet, then you'll say, you are my father according to my mother. So similarly, the Vedas, the scriptures, or the acharyas, the spiritual master, the sadhus, the holy men also, they all have concluded that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Absolute Truth. So everything that we've known ultimately is coming from the Supreme Lord. Religion can only be enunciated by the Supreme Lord. Dharma tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. No one can make this up. It cannot be just imagination. Oh, let's just say it is imagination. But why is it that we keep wanting to hear more and more about Krishna? How come we are not feeling tired when we chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Because if it is material, we'll get tired of this. They've been talking about this topic, the Supreme Absolute Truth, since time immemorial. And we're still talking about it, and we'll continue to talk about the Supreme Absolute Truth. And Prabhupada gave an example, just like if you are thirsty and you just say water, 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 it will not quench your thirst. You'll get more thirsty because there is no water. You're not drinking the water. But this is nectar. Nectar to the ears. As Rupa Goswami says, I wish that I have thousands of ears and thousands of tongues. That whenever I utter the name of Krishna, it gives me so much bliss, so much happiness. So 2 ears and 1 tongue is not enough. We've been talking about Krishna, and I'm sure most of you are sitting in the Bhagavad-gītā every day, Śrīmad Bhagavatam every day. How come we're not getting tired of this? How come we don't say, is there anything new? Is there anything different than this? How come we talk about Krishna? Can we talk about something else? No, there's nothing else to talk about. There's nothing else to hear about. That's why this is transcendental. All the living entities actually are looking for Lord Kṛṣṇa. You must have read that introduction of the Krishna book by George Harrison. Yes? It says that everyone is looking for Krishna. Some they know and some they don't know. But everyone is looking for God. Because this is the only one that can give us the highest pleasure, coming from the reservoir of pleasure. So anyone who can know Him also becomes transcendental. But those who do not know Him suffer the miseries of the material world. So this is the predicament of those who doesn't know Krishna. They suffer. They are miserable. And that's why it is our duty to broadcast and to give this knowledge to those who are bereft of not knowing Krishna. And if we do this, then Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā, there is no one more dearer to me than those who give this knowledge to others. This is the way how we can attract the all-attractive. Krishna is all-attractive, but he becomes attracted to those who give this knowledge or share this information to those who are miserable and suffering. Prabhupada says, I may not be perfect, but this knowledge is perfect. And if I give this knowledge, then the process that I'm giving is perfect. One may say, oh Maharaj, what can I do? I don't know anything. Prabhupada says, just repeat what you've read. Just repeat whatever you read, what you've heard, and that is perfect. I may not be perfect. Don't wait till when you will become perfect to give this perfect knowledge to others. The more we give, then the more we come to the platform that someday we will also become perfect. So there is no truth superior to this knowledge, and this knowledge is none different than Lord Kṛṣṇa. The maintainer is like the thread that's been strung on pearls. You don't see the thread. You can just see the pearls that holds the pearls together. So Krishna is behind everything. Others may not see him, but the devotees of the Supreme Lord can see him. And not just can see him, they can feel him. Feeling, seeing, remembering everything. All about him. So from these verses, one can conclude that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And no one is higher than Krishna. Mattaḥ, para-taram, nānyat. No one is superior. No truth is superior than Lord Kṛṣṇa. Otherwise, he's not God. If there is more superior than him, which we discussed, which is love. The love of his devotees towards the Supreme Lord. Okay, we stop here. Any questions or any points? Anything else you like to include? Yes, sir. Is there any microphone? There's a microphone. Right? Arupam. Arupam means no form, no material form. It is not impersonal. It is no material form. Yes. Hare Krishna. Where is, you want to turn it on? Just turn it on. I cannot hear. Can you show me? Okay.
Thank you, Maharajji.
There you go.
Very good, very well explained, Maharajji. Just one, I want to know a little bit about. You have told that Parmeti and Brahmeti. So,
Paramatma and Brahman.
Brahman. So, what is the difference between the two, Brahmeti and Paramatmeti? Localized, you have told that Brahmeti is localized and Brahmaneti is everywhere. So, I'm not able.
Prabhupada gave an example of the sun. The sun. The sunlight is the Brahman. The sun planet is Paramatma. And the predominating deity of the sun, which is none other than Suryadev or Vivashvan, is the personal aspect, Bhagavan aspect. So, Yeah, this Brahman effulgence, this is the goal of the impersonalist, to merge into that light, because they don't accept that the absolute truth has a personal form.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. So, Paramatma, I have heard that in the form...
Paramatma is present in your heart. Yeah. Paramatma is present in this room, everywhere. Every atom, Paramatma is there.
And Brahmaniti?
Huh?
Of Brahman-eti?
That's Brahman. Brahmeti, Brahman. The Brahman is the effulgence.
So he's not present, Brahman is not present in this hall.
The sign of the Brahman or Brahma Jyoti is the sunlight and the moonlight. It is not here still. Okay, it's in the spiritual sky also, but this is effulgence.
And in the form of Paramatma, he is in our heart.
In your heart. This is the goal of the yogis.
Okay, thank you.
The goal of the yogis is to realize the super soul within one's heart. But when one merges into the Brahman effulgence, because there is no activity, when there is no activity, there is no ananda, they come back again into this material world. And then start building hospital again and feeding the poor. Right? Okay? Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. There is one word is there. Vedaham yedam purusam mahantam. In the translation, I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material concepts of darkness, only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. So according to this statement, can we claim, we are all hearing these words, we know Krishna transcend, so can we transcend the bonds of birth and death?
When he knows that Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, then he doesn't have to come back. Huh? There is this verse, yes, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo viti tatvata chakva deham punar janma na iti mam iti sa Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord, then he does not have to come back again into this material world. He transcends. That means no more repeated birth and death. Chakva deham. No more body, material form, next life. That is our goal. That's why we are hearing again and again to purify our hearts. And in this way, we will act upon what are the instructions coming from the Bhagavad-gītā. The more we hear, the more we learn, the more we act, then no more material form next life. We go back home, back to Godhead. That's why we're doing this. And the sign of one who is advancing in Krishna consciousness is that he wanted to hear more and more about this subject matter. This is the sign that you are making advancement. Not that, the materialists, they don't want. They don't have taste for this. They like to hear mundane topics, which doesn't give them relief from the scorching heat of the material world. The material world is compared to a forest. There is a fire in the forest, scorching heat. But we find relief from engaging in hearing and remembering these subject matters, these topics about Lord Kṛṣṇa and his associates, his activities, And the more we hear again and again and again, then we don't have to come back in this material world. We go back home, back to Godhead after this lifetime. Prabhupada gave an example. It's like an iron is been put into the fire, then that iron will act like fire. So our body is getting more and more purified the more we hear. Okay? Yes. Have a question? Don't turn it off. Why did you turn it off? Don't turn it off. Keep it on.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for a very nice class. Maharaj, as you were mentioning that as we understand Krishna,
Speak to the microphone.
as we understand Krishna more and more, our suffering reduces, and that's why we should give Krishna to others also, so that their suffering also reduces. But we see that although we have some realization about Krishna, but suffering hasn't completely gone, right? So in case of like famous preachers also, they also suffer sometimes. So how will you explain that?
Oh, keep going. Don't stop. Try and try until you succeed. Practice makes one perfect. This may not go on so soon. It depends on the anarthas that we have. Each and every one of us has his own or her own anarthas to get rid of, karma to burn. This knowledge burn that karma, burn that miseries and suffering. So keep hearing. It took Parikshit Maharaj 7 days. But for us it may take 700 million, quintillion, trillion lifetimes. But don't give up. This is the only process. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Okay?
Yes,
Even
sir.
if it takes many, many lifetimes, this is the only process.
Thank you.
If there is any other process that you know, you let me know. Besides this, but I don't think you'll find any other process besides this one.
And Maharaj, one more question. As you were describing that spiritual world, like there is only present.
Huh?
In the spiritual world, there is
It's
only
only
present.
the now.
Only now.
Yeah.
And material world, there is both.
Time is conspicuous by its absence.
Yes, sir.
They all act in the present tense. There is no past.
So Maharaj,
And the future is also now. Because it is eternal. Whatever they're doing it all the time.
so time never passes. Basically, you are
Yeah,
so
but
absorbed.
you don't even know that the time is there. It's like when Narad Muni went to visit Dwarka. Our time is linear, right? Now it's 7 o'clock. No, 6:35. Then it'll be 6:36, 6:37. When Narad Muni went to visit Dwarka to see what Krishna is doing, it is in one place it was at dawn, in one place it is morning, in one place it is nighttime, in one place it is midday. It's like, but they're all in the present tense. But for him, he sees Krishna is doing many different things at different times of the day.
Yes, sir. And devotees also say that in this material world you can experience spiritual world, right? So we can have those tinges, have those absorption moment in the material world also.
Yeah, well, we have to act. The pure devotees of the Lord, when they go into samadhi, then they'll be with Krishna any time of the day. Okay.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
Anything else? You have a question? Okay. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore Sitanath Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Krishna as the supreme absolute truth ki jai.